Welcome to today's masterclass on how smart L&D teams use AI to achieve 4x faster learning and 275% more confident. Thanks for being here. I know there are a million other things you could be doing right now, so I truly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share something with you that I'm sure will fundamentally change the way you think about using AI in your training initiative. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So here's the 40,000 foot view of what we're going to learn today. If you stay all the way to the end of this training, you'll leave here knowing the 5 biggest mistakes, myths, and misconceptions that keep people from using AI to its full potential, why effective prompting is the important skill that we all need to learn until we get AI agents, why you should leverage other AI tools to test and dial in your prompts before going live, and why it's not enough to just embed a GPT into an e-learning module and hope for the best. But before we move on, I want to just share with you a quick warning. You can't unlearn this stuff. I'm about to teach you something so new, so unbelievable that I can't believe other people aren't talking about. And if you don't learn this, and more importantly, implement this, you're going to be left behind. AI isn't going to be taking your job in the near future. But I guarantee you that from this point forward, there are only going to be 2 types of people in your job role. Those who use AI to streamline their workflows and produce incredibly effective and engaging learning experiences, and those who will need to explore a career change in the next 3 to 6 months. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. If you don't believe me, just look at how many people still ride horses instead of driving a car, or how many farmers still plow their fields with animals instead of tractors. AI is the most disruptive tech since the internet, and those that know how to use it correctly will be light years ahead of the ones that ignore the writing on the wall until it's too late. So the only question is, which one will you be? Now, I'm guessing you decided to show up here today and spend some of your valuable time with me because you're one of the savvy people that understand where the industry is going and you want to deploy AI agents in your e-learning and other immersive experiences. Agents that can greet people when they turn up for an appointment or an event, or agents that can interact with leads to qualify and even book them into a calendar to speak with a human. Or agents that can facilitate completely immersive learning scenarios like practicing soft skills, role-playing difficult conversations, playing the part of subject matter experts, and just about anything else you can imagine being a good fit for an interactive and conversational approach to knowledge transfer. Armed with everything you're going to learn today, you'll be able to not only come up with novel ideas on how to leverage the power of AI in your projects, but you'll also be able to deploy fully working prototypes that you can share with stakeholders, potential clients, and anyone else you want to show a proof of concept to in less than 90 minutes. And the best part is that you can do all of that without needing any technical expertise or coding knowledge to create sophisticated AI interactions, without wasting weeks learning complex new tools or platforms that will be outdated in 6 months anyway, without having to become an AI expert or understanding the ins and outs of large language models, without endlessly revising scripts and scenarios trying to predict every possible learner response, without struggling through countless hours of trial and error just to create one basic interaction, and without spending a huge budget or needing to convince skeptical stakeholders about unproven technology. Now, I know that you're here for all the juicy AI tips, tricks, and secrets that we've promised, but I want to make this really quick and take a quick sec to introduce myself and explain why you should listen to me. My official title is CMO at Hyperspace, but my passion is mastering AI to help organizations 10x their efficiency and effectiveness across a wide range of applications like automations and immersive experiences. In fact, I've spent the last 13 years designing automation systems for organizations large and small. And even before ChatGPT burst on the scene, I was injecting AI, which is called machine learning at the time, into my automation and simulation building workflows. I even counted up the total number of documented hours I've spent writing prompts and tweaking and testing to dial things in, and I found out that I've spent a whopping 4,860 hours and counting in the trenches learning and refining the process I'm about to share with you. But rewind back to 2018. I remember working with one of our internal instructional designers on how we could set up a free trial for Hyperspace, our immersive experience platform. I wanted to create a first-time user experience that would really blow people away with just about how much more engaging and exciting something you can create with our tools can be when compared to glorified PowerPoints you get with traditional authoring tools like Articulate Storyline, Captivate, VFairs, and pretty much everything else on the market. But there was just one problem. I was the marketing guy, so I had no clue how to actually put an experience together by myself. That meant that I had to try to transmit what was in my head to our head ID, Hannah, who would then have to translate that into a bunch of different conversation nodes and actions inside of our proprietary branching dialogue tool called ChatMapper. Now, ChatMapper is a super powerful tool that unlocks creative genius in the right hands, and has even been used in some high-profile video games. Its only fault is that it isn't exactly the most intuitive thing on the planet. So that combined with needing to understand the nuances of designing an immersive experience versus just putting together a presentation, and I was completely dependent on Hannah's ability to decode my desires and translate them into something usable. And she did. But that's when I realized that no matter how much better our platform was at producing unforgettable learning experiences and virtual events, the learning curve was still too high for mass adoption. So after 2 weeks of working through the process with Hannah, I was determined to figure out how we could make the editing process simple enough for anyone to do and dramatically reduce the time it takes to produce something world-class. So over the next 2 years, I pleaded, pressured, and bribed our dev team to come up with a solution. And right when I thought we were getting close to a breakthrough on my goal of creating something so simple that anyone who could work a mouse and had a loose idea could produce a working proof of concept in a single afternoon, then the pandemic hit and we were flooded with people wanting to produce virtual events, and they had little use for robust branching scenarios and learning paths. They just wanted something quick and easy, and we had that. So the dev team felt like the job was done, but I disagreed. Yeah, the platform was drag and drop simple. Yeah, you could whip up some pretty impressive scenarios and experiences without needing to learn the ins and outs of ChatMapper, but you still needed to understand how to design branching scenarios and how to implement low-code solutions if you wanted to achieve something that was head and shoulders above what everyone else was doing with their storyline projects and e-learning brothers template. So I felt like we hadn't really achieved my goal of giving you something that anyone could use and get awesome results with without needing to know anything about coding or deep understanding of how to think about branching dialogues in an immersive environment. Basically, I wanted something that would be like an instructional design cheat code to turn on God mode for smart instructional designers that understood that the future of training was in immersive learning scenarios. But with everyone on the team and all of our clients raving, I was the only one left with a feeling that we could do so much more. And that feeling stuck with me for another 2 years until ChatGPT was released in November of 2022 and introduced AI to the mainstream. I had previously played around with machine learning in places like ad platforms and predictive analytics tools, but this was next level. Everyone now had the ability to type something in plain English and get something epic back out. But I quickly realized that the law of garbage in equals garbage out, and that a whole new skill was required if I wanted to be able to produce something usable. So I immersed myself in AI and watched every YouTube video I could, bought every course I could find, and picked up every software that claimed it was using AI in any way, shape, or form. I was obsessed. It was like I could finally see the Matrix. And in that moment, I still didn't know how I was going to get this into hyperspace, but I knew that this was the answer I had been waiting for. I didn't have to wait long though. In March of 2023, they released an API, and our crack dev team quickly got to work giving me a way to bring our avatars to life, and that's when it happened. I still remember the first time I was able to have a full conversation with AI inside of hyperspace. I was practically jumping for joy because now we truly had something where someone who knows absolutely nothing about coding or how to write branching dialogue and with zero clue how the platform works could jump in and create an immersive experience in under an hour. The team and I were ecstatic. We had given AI a body, over 1,000 different gestures and moods, and a voice months before even the makers of ChatGPT gave us the ability to converse with AI using just our voice inside of their platform. And now we had just unlocked a whole new world of possibilities for L&D professors and virtual event producers as well. Because now they're able to bring their visions to life by just typing in a few simple instructions and letting artificial intelligence handle the rest. But I was still a bit nervous. I had to find out if it was truly the game changer I had been determined to find, or if it was still too technical for non-techies to get. So I slowly started introducing this new feature to a couple of clients, and the results they came back with were even better than I had imagined. It was like everyone had started going nuts, brainstorming scenarios and simulations I would have never thought of. Boundless Immersive, an agency that creates extended reality and immersive solutions to drive growth, came to us with 2 potential projects and some ideas around how they could use AI to help train service reps in the automotive industry. IMD Executive Education pitched an idea to get virtual attendees to role play in breakout rooms where they chat with the AI to develop marketing and positioning strategies to outmaneuver the competition. We even had a chain of preschools calling us about their ideas around creating educational experiences for kids between 3 and 5 years old. It was absolutely amazing, but there was still one problem everyone seemed to have. They had no idea how to get AI to actually do what they needed it to do. Remember how I mentioned the law of garbage in, garbage out? Well, as good as their ideas were, they were all putting garbage into the prompts without any kind of rhyme or reason, and they were inevitably getting mostly garbage out. That's when it hit me. There was one last missing piece to making sure that this new tech was virtually foolproof. We needed to teach people a framework they could use to get killer results right out of the gate and then slowly refine things from there. So I sat down with each client and showed them the early version of the system you're about to learn, and within weeks, stories started rolling in. Boundless Immersive was able to land deals with Stellantis, major auto manufacturer that owns Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and similar brands, as well as some other major clients with just a proof of concept demo. IMD used AI to run its war room simulation as part of a live virtual event to help Inc. 500 executive teams come up with positioning strategies and insights for their brands. And Chalk Preschool created multiple immersive learning experiences for their students to help reinforce classroom learning like colors, sights, sounds, and so much more. They were unstoppable, and by the end of this masterclass, you will be too. So stick with me, because if you stay to the end, you will have learned how to create fully interactive AI agents that work on any device from smartphones to AR, VR headsets in less than 30 minutes, and how you can get started absolutely free. But let's pause for a second to make sure you're really in the right place. This training is for you if you want to create personalized learning experiences that adapt in real time to each learner's needs without spending weeks mastering complex programming. If you're looking to transform traditional training modules into engaging, interactive scenarios that improve retention and skills transfer. If you need to scale your soft skills and sales training programs while maintaining the effectiveness of one-on-one role-play practice. Or if you want to leverage AI-driven analytics to prove the ROI and effectiveness of your training programs to stakeholders. So basically, this training is definitely for you if you're an instructional designer or L&D professional who's ready to move beyond static click-through modules, but doesn't want to spend months becoming an AI expert. You know the power of role-play training, but you need a way to scale it without sacrificing quality or spending weeks mastering complex. And if you're ready to create dynamic, adaptive learning experiences that deliver measurable results without the traditional technical headaches, you are in the right place. But I also want to be respectful of your time, so let's talk about the flip side and make it crystal clear whether or not you're going to get massive value out of the next 30 minutes or so, like many others have. So this training is not for you if you're looking for another shiny tool to add to your collection, but aren't serious about implementing real change in your training program. Or if you believe that AI is just a fad and prefer to stick with traditional e-learning methods, even if they're not delivering the results your organization needs. And it's also definitely not for you if you're happy creating the same click-through courses and hoping learners somehow develop real-world skills without meaningful practice. So here's a quick reminder of what you're going to learn in this masterclass. The 5 biggest mistakes. What's really stopping you from getting the most out of AI. Why learning to talk to AI is your secret weapon, at least until we get smarter AI agents. Smart ways to practice and perfect your AI instructions before going live. And why dropping AI into your traditional e-learning isn't enough, and the right way to make AI work for learning. So let's dive in and talk about the 5 biggest mistakes and what's really stopping you from getting the most out of it. Mistake number 1, expecting AI to do all the work autonomously. Many people fall into the trap of thinking AI can handle everything from A to Z without human intervention, when in reality, the garbage in, garbage out principle I mentioned earlier applies strongly to AI-generated content. AI has come a long way since ChatGPT put it on everyone's radar, and there are a couple of platforms that can take a short prompt and produce simple outputs like calculators or web scrapers. But expecting to write a prompt like, give me a storyboard for a learning module about leadership skills, and get something high quality without any tweaking or editing on your part is still not where the technology is today. Sure, it'll spit something out that looks good on the surface, or that seems like it's at least a decent outline, but it's often just mediocre when you really get down to reviewing it through the lens of a skilled professional. That's why the better your initial prompt and/or the more skilled you are at conversing with AI to refine and improve the output, the higher quality the end result will be. In fact, I routinely get outputs that are 90% ready to go in minutes using the methods I'm going to reveal to you today. Mistake number 2. Not properly vetting the content because they believe AI can handle open-ended scenarios perfectly. Some people skip through quality checks, leading to courses with factual errors and overly simplistic content that lacks depth. AI can produce content that looks good on the surface but contains critical mistakes. Research shows that large language models may produce inaccuracies around 10 to 20% of the time, which can be problematic for training scenarios where accuracy is crucial. Which is exactly why you need to explicitly include critical information as either part of your prompts, as part of the knowledge base you attach to your chosen AI solution, or as information you feed into the system during the optimization process. Mistake number 3, relying on AI too much for interaction. While AI can facilitate learning, complete replacement of human interaction leads to students missing out on emotional support and genuine connection. This often results in lower engagement and completion rates. But this is especially true when you're trying to add in AI as an afterthought rather than building an experience from the ground up with AI in mind. In other words, it's not just enough to throw in an AI avatar that you can chat with about anything under the sun. It's far more impactful to create specialized AI agents that can perform one task really well, like role-playing, and then intermix that experience with a human component, which could be the pre-roleplay instruction, a post-roleplay debrief, or simply a Q&A session where a human SME can add in their unique perspective on the material. Mistake number 4, assuming AI tools are intuitive and require no training. Many organizations provide only initial training when implementing AI tools, but fail to continue education as the technology evolves, leading to underutilization and ineffective implementation. So anyone who's worked in any medium to large organization can attest to this, because it applies to lots of new technologies that get introduced. If you're lucky, you'll get some sort of quick training on the basics. And then if you're really lucky, your organization is large enough to have an IT department or someone that's designated as a resident expert who can help you if you get stuck. But most of the time, you just get thrown to the sharks to fend for yourself. Don't do that to your attendees or your learners. Make sure you design your AI-driven experiences with both an initial overview of how they can get the most out of it, and as well as a way for them to get help from an agent that can tell them how to navigate things if they get stuck. Mistake number 5, believing the "I'm not creative enough" fallacy. Many L&D professionals mistakenly believe that they need to be highly creative or imaginative to design effective AI-driven scenarios. They get stuck thinking they need to predict every possible conversation branch or create Hollywood-level character background. In reality, the most effective AI roleplay scenarios often come from simply translating real-world situations into clear objectives and letting the AI handle the dynamic elements naturally. In fact, that's probably the biggest advantage you're going to have over someone who doesn't use AI for their experiences. Not only will you be able to produce dynamic encounters that adapt to each person on the fly while still helping them achieve your key objectives, you'll be able to do so in a tiny fraction of the time it takes the most creative person in the world to come up with all the possible branches required for an engaging conversation or brainstorming exactly how you want things to unfold. And it all comes down to just one simple learning skill called prompt engineering. And that's exactly why learning to talk to AI is your secret weapon, at least until AI gets smarter. Think of a context window like a book you're speed reading. You typically remember the opening chapter and dramatic conclusion clearly, but the details from those middle chapters, they tend to get fuzzy. That's exactly how AI processes information in its context window. But here's the really important part. Every AI has a limit to how much it can process at once. So you can think about it like a container that can only hold so many words. These words get broken down into what we call the tokens, basically pieces of words or common phrases that the AI understands. Each model has a maximum number of tokens it can handle, both for what you put in and what you want to get back. So why does that matter for your training scenario? Well, let's say that you want to create a complex roleplay situation. If your setup instructions, character background, and scenario details are too long, You might hit the limit before the AI can even start responding. Or worse, you might not leave enough room for the AI to give detailed, meaningful responses to your learner. So here's a key takeaway. When designing your AI scenarios, you need to be strategic about what information you include and where you place it. Put your most critical instructions either right at the start or right at the end of your prompt. Never bury them in the middle where they might get lost. And always leave enough room in your context window for the AI to give thorough, meaningful responses to your learner. And now I want to show you the 3 simple tricks that will instantly make your AI avatars more consistent and professional, especially when we're talking about things like roleplay. And these are absolute game changers when you're creating those roleplay scenarios. First, you always give your AI a clear role. Don't just say, help me practice sales. Instead, tell it you are an experienced sales manager who's been coaching teams for 15 years. The more specific you are, the more authentic and consistent the responses become. Second, give your AI clear objective. Think of it like giving directions to a new hire. Instead of saying something like, help me learn, you would say, your goal is to challenge my objection handling skills and provide constructive feedback after each response, right? Much more specific. And so now the AI has no doubt about what you're really wanting it to do. What task is it supposed to perform? What are the primary and secondary objectives that you want it to complete before perhaps moving on to doing something? The AI will stay focused and deliver exactly what you need when you do it like that. But here's a pro tip most people miss. Use markdown formatting in your prompts. So there in the picture on the screen there, markdown is simply, you can see the pound sign before role, and you can see the dash before rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. That's called markdown. And breaking up your instructions with headers, bold text, and bullet points doesn't just make things easier to read for you, it helps the AI understand the hierarchy and importance of your instruction. And that's crucial when you're creating complex training scenarios where the AI needs to juggle multiple objectives. In fact, one of the things that really sped up my prompt engineering workflow was creating a reusable template document in Google Docs with all of my essential sections pre-formatted in Markdown. That meant that I could just copy and paste it from one project to the other and basically start to fill in those sections. And I knew that I would be much further ahead than if I just tried to freeform write out the entire prompt for every single project in a different way. Having that structure also helps to train your brain on how to communicate with AI so that it's a streamlined approach at getting your projects done fast, right? And you can think of this as your AI prompt blueprint. So, like I said, you would just copy and paste this template whenever you start a new scenario, fill in the sections, and you'll have that consistently structured professional prompt ready to go. And that's going to work wonders for achieving that consistency that you really want when you're deploying these AI-driven scenarios. This approach saves time and helps ensure that you don't forget critical components of your prompt. I could go on and on about the structure and show you examples of things like that, but I think I'm going to do you one better. I'm actually going to give you a free tool that I built specifically to help me create AI agents for all of my role-playing scenarios. All I have to do is give a brief description of what I want, answer a couple of questions about the details, and boom, AI spits out a prompt that usually is about 85 to 90% of the way dialed in for me. Then I just copy and paste it, test and tweak, and voila. I have a highly engaging AI-driven agent in a matter of minutes. Stay with me because I'm going to explain how you can get free access to the Roleplay Agent Prompt Generator in just a bit. So let's talk about some smart ways to practice and perfect your AI instructions before going live. But it's also probably a good time to talk about the elephant in the room, right? All of this new technology is probably going to cost you an arm and a leg, right? And you get what you pay for, so obviously you need to pay for lots of different tools to really experience the power of AI, right? Well, actually, no. You can do far more than people realize with just the free versions of many of the most powerful tools on the market today. I'm talking about OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, Perplexity, and one most people haven't heard of, which is called NotDiamond.ai. Each one brings its own unique advantages in terms of features and strengths by utilizing the underlying AI models that power them. If you were to pay for access, most will set you back around $20 per month. But as you'll see in a minute, we can do everything we need to at this stage with just the free tier of each of these tools. Now that we've got the money question out of the way, rather than just give you the theory around how you could test your prompts for free, let's jump over to my browser and I'll show you. Not only will you see how stupid simple it can be to stress test what you've created to make sure it will perform as expected when you go live, but you'll also get a feel for just how different each model behaves using the exact same prompt. Some models excel at being creative, others are better at providing actionable insights, and a few are really good at following your instructions to the letter. Which one you choose will depend on the specific roles and objectives you've engineered into your prompt. I personally tend to use GPT-4o Mini because it strikes a balance between affordability, creativity, and following instruction. But you may find that a different model suits your needs better. Here's how to figure out which to use in your project. And the last tool I unveil will even give you a good estimate of how much it would cost to run your AI agent, at least on the AI model side of things. First, I'm going to grab a prompt that I use with the AI agent generator that you are going to be getting access to. Right? You can see here that I have the full prompt. And again, I just had to give the basic idea of what we were trying to do. Design me a 35-year-old female that is a potential customer for my yacht dealership. She's slightly impatient, but has plenty of money to spend. And then the AI came back with a few questions that I needed to answer. And once I answered those here, it went ahead and gave me the prompt that we need. And you can see here that it is showing us Markdown as a human would read it, right? So it has the different sections here, and then it has some bullet points and the rest. Now this funky stuff here, this is specific to hyperspace because our avatars can play different gestures or have different moods depending on what's happening in the interaction. And so that gives a little bit of dynamicism to the experience. But for your prompts, you won't need that unless you're using the hyperspace system. So once I have the prompt, I go ahead and just jump over to any of the tools. We're going to start here with Claude. And I just need to add, you wouldn't add this in your other tools, but when we're trying to practice the role play, we just add in a line like, respond, okay. Right, and we do this so that the AI doesn't tend to just jump in and start the role play, right? So now the AI knows to just start with that. And I'm going to go ahead and just get this ready for the tools. And we'll jump in here. All right, so basically here with Claude, you would just say, you know, how would you react if you were a salesperson in a yacht dealership, right? Good morning and welcome. Okay, and right? And so you can see that Claude gives you this type of output, right? It's just saying, you know, hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm in the market for a custom yacht, you know, and it's giving you even how it would act if it could move, right? Giving you some scene notes, right? This is exactly what you'll see. Each of the different models are going to react differently to what we put in here, right? So this was the exact same prompt with ChatGPT now using that 4o Mini, right? And if I have the same response, right, it's all going ahead and doing some actions and stuff like that, right? And this is how ChatGPT would respond. Okay, and you can see that we would just go through with these tools, especially with our chosen tool, and we just go back and forth, and we would have the conversation that we would like to have our students role play inside of these different tools, and you'll be able to see how your prompt performs. That's where you might start to see that you need to maybe adjust some things with the rules, or you need to adjust the personality a little bit. Different little details that each will uncover for you. You can see here, doing the same thing with perplexity. All right. And finally, we're going to jump into this one called Not Diamond. Now, Not Diamond is a little bit special. And it's special because we have some different modes here, right? And one of those modes is called Arena mode, where it's pitting two AIs against each other, right? And you got to decide, based on my input, which of these had a better output. And because I said to just respond with OK when ready, this one achieved it properly. And Not Diamond is cool because it shows you which AI model was used to give you the answer, as well as the approximate cost of using that model for that response. So you can see this was a fraction of a penny, and that 4.0 mini was even less than that. And we could do this throughout the entire interaction. We could keep playing the interaction, and we could see how two models side by side would react. Or if we want to get rid of that, we can also just go ahead and use it in regular chat mode, and then we can specifically select each model that we want to use and test the various models that way. All right. So now you know how you can test your prompts to see how well they're performed right out of the box. But you might be asking yourself, well, how do I fix them if I'm not getting the type of conversation I hoped for? I've got some great news for you because you can use those same tools to really dial things in. First, you've got to identify exactly what's not going as planned. For me, the most common tweaks I need to perform are adding or removing the entries in the rules section of my prompt. This is especially true when I'm designing roleplay agents, since my custom prompt generator usually gives me some pretty spot-on stuff for spinning up agents in our hyperspace platform. However, it's not uncommon for the rules to need another couple of tweaks to get the level of consistency that I'm looking for, or to anticipate how the users might try to break it, because they always do. For example, if your agent overuses the person's name to the point where it feels unnatural, adding in a rule like only use a person's name once in the greeting and once when saying goodbye could be all you need to fix it. The next quick fix I try depends on what's happening. If the AI isn't picking up on a specific instruction I included in the prompt, then I'll simply try changing up the prompt order. So maybe I paste the rule section at the very beginning, or I make sure that the rule section is at the very end, or I make sure that that specific rule is the last thing that's in the prompt, right? So because remember the context window and how AI is better at remembering the beginning and end of your prompts, but the middle sections can get fuzzy? Well, sometimes cutting and pasting that critical piece into a different part of the prompt is all you need to do. Next, what should you do if the agent isn't acting at all the way you had hoped? Well, in this case, you have a couple of options. The easiest would be to go back to my bonus tool, since you'll be getting access to that at the end of this training. But you could also literally just paste it in to any of those free tools I just showed you with a prompt like, please help me improve this prompt. The problem is blah, blah, blah. So for example, the problem is the agent is getting confused about if it's supposed to be the customer or the salesperson, or whatever the issues are that you're running into during the testing. But what I really love doing though is taking a step back and using Perplexity to supercharge my prompts. And I can do that in two ways. The first is by utilizing the technical terminology for instructions whenever possible. What I mean is that there are specific terms in every language that give far more precise instructions to the AI than trying to describe something. Take, for example, the idea of ordinal numbers. Now, I'm sure that at some point I learned that word, but I've been out of school for a long time, and I certainly have never heard anyone use that term in a normal conversation. So when I ran into a problem where I was tying myself in knots, trying and failing to get the AI to stop giving me responses as numbered lists like number 1, XYZ, number 2, do this and that. Well, I had the bright idea of asking Perplexity how to describe that idea more clearly, and it told me to say, use ordinal numbers, and that solved my problem in about 5 seconds. The second way I use Perplexity is to help me quickly find frameworks and methodologies I can tap into. Just like when I was having trouble explaining what I meant by numbered lists and being able to inject the word ordinal solved everything, being able to tell the AI to use a specific framework to craft its answers can reduce the size of your prompt considerably. And remember, we always have to be conscious of how long our prompts are so we don't run into issues where the AI forgets our instructions, or in the case of a long conversation, has trouble remembering what was said at the very beginning. So imagine you're trying to create a sales training simulation where you first want the AI agent to play the part of a top-tier salesperson at your company. Well, having the option to tell the agent to use, say, the spin selling framework or the straight line method instantly tells it how you want it to behave, and in some cases, even the tone you're after for the simulation. Why? because the AI has all of the major frameworks that have been around since at least 2021 in its training. So instead of me needing to spend a paragraph or two explaining how I want the responses structured, I can just use a couple of words to laser focus how it pursues its primary objectives. But if all the AIs have the major frameworks in their training, why do I use Perplexity? Well, because on the free tier, as of right now at least, Perplexity is the only one that is connected to the internet. So I'm not just limited to asking AI to give me a list of frameworks and their definitions. Instead, I can ask what types of frameworks are currently being used to do XYZ the most effective way possible. So for example, what types of frameworks are currently being used by car salespeople to sell the most cars possible, right? And it will be able to go do a Google search, a complex Google search, to give me the answer in seconds versus me needing to spend hours researching or needing to already be an expert on that particular topic. All right, so we've learned the 5 biggest mistakes and what's really stopping you from getting the most out of AI, and why learning to talk to AI is your secret weapon, at least until AI gets smarter, as well as smart ways to practice and perfect your AI instructions before going live. So now it's time for us to take a deeper look at why dropping AI into traditional e-learning isn't enough and the right way to make AI work for learning. Let's talk big picture. Think about the last traditional e-learning course you created. You know, the kind where learners click through slides, maybe answer some multiple choice questions, and then get a certificate. Sounds pretty familiar, right? Well, here's the shocking truth. 70% of what they learn vanishes within 24 hours. And by the end of the month, almost 90% is gone. And here's why that matters. Companies are spending about $1,300 per employee each year on training that just doesn't. That's like buying lunch for your entire team and watching most of it get thrown in the trash. But what's the solution? Well, when we move from flat click-through courses to immersive 3D experiences, something amazing happens. Retention jumps from a tiny 8 to 10% to as high as 60%. And you know what's even better than that? People also learn up to 4 times faster. So here's the bottom line. If you want training that actually creates lasting behavior change, you need to let people experience it, not just watch a video or read about it in a manual. You know how watching a cooking video isn't the same as actually cooking in your kitchen? Well, that's because your brain learns best when it's using multiple senses at once. When you're just watching a training video, reading text, or clicking through slides, you're only lighting up one small part of your brain. But something incredible happens in immersive learning. Your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. You're seeing body language, hearing tone of voice, and moving through space. Research shows this multisensory experience makes you 3.75 times more emotionally connected to what you're learning. Think about it. If you're practicing a sales conversation, would you rather read about the right way to handle objections or actually practice the conversation with an AI avatar who can respond to your tone, timing, and choice of words? That's the difference between watching the game and being in the game. This is the immersive training flywheel that makes learners fast and fearless. And I'm going to prove to you why traditional training just can't keep up. Let me share a PricewaterhouseCoopers study that shocked even our most skeptical clients. When people learn in an immersive environment, they master new skills 4 times faster than with traditional e-learning. Think about that. What usually takes a month could be done in just a week. But speed isn't the whole story. People who train in immersive environments report being 275% more confident in their abilities. That's not just feeling more prepared. It shows up in real-world performance. They're more likely to actually use what they learn, handle challenging situations better, and retain their skills longer. And here's why that matters for your training program. Imagine cutting your training time by 75% while actually improving the results. That's not just saving time and money. It's getting your teams ready faster and with more confidence to handle real-world situations. Here's the TLDR version. When learners can practice in a realistic environment without fear or failure, they learn faster and perform better. It's just that simple. Now, at this point, I'm sure you can clearly see that breaking free from clicks and moving learners to real conversations is by far the most effective way to help them not just memorize, but to actually retain the information. Think about how we communicate in real life. We don't just read text and click buttons. We use our tone of voice, body language, and natural conversation to connect and learn from each other. But that's exactly what traditional e-learning asks people to do. Here's what's happening. While traditional e-learning traps learners in a world of text-based slides and mindless clicking, immersive learning breaks these chains. Instead of limited engagement and forgettable experiences, learners step into an environment where they can practice real conversations, read body language, and truly engage with the material. The difference is dramatic. When learners can see, hear, and interact naturally, just like they would in real life, the information sticks. They're not just memorizing facts, they're building muscle memory through real-time practice. That's why immersive learning consistently shows higher retention and engagement rates than traditional click-through courses. Let's talk numbers that make procurement teams sit up and pay attention. When organizations switch to immersive learning, they see a 40 to 60% boost in employee productivity compared to traditional training methods. But that's just the beginning. Think about this. Your current training program probably takes weeks or months to show results. With immersive learning, you're seeing measurable improvements in days. That means faster time to competency, lower training costs, and better retention rates, all while scaling across your entire organization without losing quality. Here's what makes procurement teams really happy. You can track everything. Every interaction, every decision, every improvement is measured and quantified. No more guessing about ROI or effectiveness. You get real data showing real results, making it easy to justify the investment and prove the value to stakeholders. So what does all that mean? Well, when you can train people faster with better results and prove it with data, that's not just a training win, that's a business transformation. And that's why it's time for us to move beyond traditional training and embrace your complete AI plus immersive solution. Throughout this session, we've uncovered why traditional e-learning falls short, how AI transforms the learning experience, and why immersive environments are crucial for real skill development. You've seen how the right prompting techniques can create dynamic, adaptive scenarios that engage learners on multiple levels. Most importantly, you now understand that combining AI with immersive learning isn't just another training tool, it's a complete solution for creating lasting behavior change. And that means it's time to go from vision to reality in your new learning ecosystem. So picture this. You log into your dashboard on a Monday morning and see something that would make any L&D professional smile. Your employees aren't just completing training, they're actively seeking it out. Why? Because they're seeing real results in their day-to-day work. Your inbox has messages from department heads raving about how their teams are performing. New hires are ramping at 4x faster than before. But here's what really matters. Employee satisfaction scores have skyrocketed because people finally feel confident in their roles. Remember those skeptical managers who used to see training as a necessary evil? Now they're your biggest champions because they can see the direct impact on their teams. Productivity jumps of 40 to 60%, dramatic reduction in costly mistakes, teams collaborating more effectively, higher employee retention rates. The best part? When your CEO asks about the training budget, you can show exactly how your programs are driving business results. No more defending the L&D department's value, the numbers speak for themselves. But even after seeing for yourself just how simple it is to get started, you may still be wondering if now's the right time to invest effort and brainpower into learning something new. Now, I'm sure the training you make gets the job done. So would it really be a big deal if you take all of the information I've given you today and decide to do nothing with it? To just continue doing what you've been doing? Well, according to Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most adaptable to change. And guess what? The genie is out of the bottle. When ChatGPT went live in November of 2022, it started a chain reaction that went from a semi-useful chatbot to lifelike voices and college-level reasoning in record time. Who knows what's just over the horizon in the next 2, 5, or 10 years? The only thing we do know is that monumental change in the way things are done is upon us, and that brings us back to the choice I mentioned at the beginning of this training. There are only two types of people in your job role. Those that use AI to get ahead, and those who need to look for a new career. So it's time to decide. And I mean really decide what you want. Will you leave here today and keep doing what you've been doing up till now? Maybe life is already pretty good, and mastering these skills to grab a hold of this unfair advantage isn't a priority for you. And that's okay. But because you're still here, I'm guessing that you've made the decision to be someone who leverages AI and you're ready to go all in on implementing everything we've discussed today. And in that case, I would love nothing more than to have a chance to maybe help you implement this in your next learning experience, or to help you convert an existing module into an AI-driven version. I've taught you an incredible framework that's taken me years to refine and has created some incredibly engaging immersive experiences for our clients. But if I can be honest, as intuitive as the tools are to use, it can be challenging to implement this by yourself the first time, especially if you've never created a 3D learning module or an AI agent before, because you simply don't know what you don't know. So if you're sitting here right now and you're serious about this, if you got a project that you know would be a perfect fit for AI, or if you've got an existing module or course that you know could benefit from introducing AI-driven interactions, and if you don't currently have a simple way to turn that vision into a fully immersive, cross-device enabled e-learning experience to maximize engagement and optimize learning outcomes, and you're serious about leaning into this massive AI opportunity in the e-learning space, then I'd love to be part of the solution for you. And so would our team. And we'd love to help you not just come up with a rough idea of what you might be able to do, but to actually help you develop a working proof of concept that you can put in front of stakeholders or potential clients that will absolutely blow them away. We've done this time and time again, and we've helped a ton of organizations deliver memorable and effective experiences across a wide range of scenarios and industries. And you could be our next success story. And that's why I want to give you an exclusive opportunity to meet with our team to have a very relaxed and comfortable chat to brainstorm exactly how you can take advantage of AI-driven immersive scenarios to fundamentally change how you create learning experiences for your organization and set yourself head and shoulders above everyone else that's still creating glorified PowerPoints or wasting resources trying to shoot training videos that are often outdated in a matter of months, or people that are still relying on off-the-shelf courses that are designed for ticking off a compliance box rather than actually teaching and improving people's skills in a meaningful way, which I'm sure is really what made you want to get into this field in the first place, to actually help people learn. Now, during this 30-minute proof of concept brainstorming session, we'll start by understanding your specific training challenges and what you're looking to achieve. Then we'll explore exactly how AI agents could transform your e-learning programs and how to create the kind of engaging, adaptive experiences that deliver 4 times faster learning and 275% more confident employees. You'll get a quick tour of your complimentary 3D office space and see just how easy it is to deploy your first AI avatar with no technical expertise needed. We'll map out clear goals and create an action plan customized for your organization's needs. Most importantly, you'll discover how to start creating immersive experiences in minutes instead of weeks. Whether you decide to move forward with our platform or not, you'll leave the call with 2 valuable assets: your own virtual space to experiment with AI training scenarios and access to our custom prompt generator tool. Both are yours to keep forever, free of charge. Now, for some people, it will make more sense to join one of our paid packages to unlock additional features or some of our done-for-you services to accelerate your project and guarantee the highest quality output. Just like we did to get many of our past clients up and running before handing them the reins once they were more comfortable with how to think about creating immersive experiences versus the 2D stuff like Zoom, PowerPoint, or similar tools everybody else is using. But even if you don't decide to take advantage of any of our paid tiers, your space, the AI agents you create, as well as a free prompt generator, will be yours on the house as a thank you for taking the time to discuss your projects and ideas with them. No strings attached. Just don't wait too long to book. As AI adoption accelerates, these complimentary strategy sessions are filling up quickly, and obviously we can't give out free spaces and tools to everyone. You've seen the potential of AI-powered immersive learning. Now, let's talk about who's already reaping the benefit. From TEDx to the United Nations, global leaders are embracing this technology. Acai, Fujitsu, Curtin University, and hundreds more have all leveraged our platform to create groundbreaking experiences. But don't just take our word for it. Robin Amsters from TEDx pointed out that hyperspace is very feature-rich compared to other 3D platforms with many customization options. Mark Livelsberger, Learning and Development Manager at Volvo Construction Equipment, said that hyperspace bridges the experiential training gap. The tool is super intuitive to use. And Neil Nathanson VP of Virtual Training and Development at New York Life Insurance, saw that we have the vision and a head start on the field. If you just tell us your goals, then you can benefit from our experience. These organizations aren't just experimenting. They're seeing real results: improved engagement, faster skill acquisition, and measurable ROI. The question isn't whether this technology works. It's whether you'll be left behind as your competitors embrace it. Now, just to be clear, this is not a sales call. We're very protective regarding who we work with. Attention at this level is very time intensive for me and my team, and we can only take a handful of calls right now. So there are no guarantees that at the end of our call, you'll be invited to join us in one of our done-for-you packages, just as there are no guarantees that you'll like what you hear on the call. So the best thing to do is to grab a slot on our calendar so we can have a brainstorming session. Worst case scenario, you come away with a free virtual office you can experiment with until you feel comfortable building out your immersive experiences with AI agents using our platform or any other. Best case, there's incredible synergy and we go on to launch something epic together, which means there is zero reason not to take this call and explore potential next steps. I'm going to give you the link to go ahead and book your proof of concept call in just a minute. But before I do, I want to make something else crystal clear because I don't want there to be any disappointment. And because there have been disappointments in the past when we've run these types of webinars. We've intentionally kept our business lean. We are a small team. So we only have a handful of experts available to speak to you during this complimentary brainstorming session. That means we only have a few time slots available over the next few days. We've got a bunch of you listening to this training at the same time right now. And so when I drop this link for you in just a minute, the best time slots or the one that you might have wanted might get snapped up pretty quickly. What typically happens in these moments is that we drop the link, someone procrastinates about picking a time or picking a date, and by the time they click confirm, it says, sorry, that slot is not available anymore. Now they're on the back foot trying to go back and get a different day and time before you know it. They missed their opportunity to have a chat with us because once our calendar is full, it's full. I'm going to drop the link in just a moment, and when I do, if you want to have this chat during a time slot that works for you, book it nice and quick so you don't get locked out. So if that sounds fair, click the book your call button on or below this webinar to open up our calendar. Now, once you've booked your calendar, you'll be taken to another screen that shows you an application. And this application is simply a way for us to get to know you, more about your idea or current project, and what you're hoping to achieve so we can hit the ground running on our call together. It's incredibly important that we get that form returned, and it only takes a few minutes. And because of the demand we have for this complimentary brainstorming session, if you don't get your application submitted in the next 45 minutes, your call will automatically be canceled. So we can open up that slot for someone else who is ready to take the next step in their AI journey. Now, I mean no disrespect with that. It's just that we get a lot of people on these webinars and we only have a few slots on our calendar, so we want to make sure that we're only speaking to people who are serious and ready to roll. So please don't forget to get that application filled out as soon as possible. Now, I want to take a second to thank you for spending your valuable time with me today. I hope you've had at least one or two aha moments that you can immediately take and apply to your AI journey. And I'd like to encourage you with just one more thing here before we wrap up, which is that there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't book the call today. If you made it to the end of the webinar, it means that you're serious. It means that you're generally wanting to create more engaging and dynamic learning experiences, and that you know that AI is a perfect fit for making that happen. It means that you agree that the way e-learning is currently being done just isn't getting the types of results that you want. Not just for your learners, but as a reflection of what you know you're capable of creating given the right tools. So let's at least explore it together because we're not going to hard sell you on our platform. In fact, it's probably going to be the complete opposite. We often have people that want to jump into our done-for-you programs, but we sadly have to push them away because they just aren't a perfect fit. So this is an anti-sales call. We genuinely want to know you, understand where you're at, what you've got going on, where and why you're stuck, and we may even be able to provide some of the answers for you on the call without you even needing to join any of our packages. And even if we go down the route of talking about what it would be like to work with us directly, you'll have a chance to go away and think about it. So it's very low pressure. Now, you may be thinking about demos or strategy sessions you've booked in the past and what a horrible experience those were. And that could lead you to not booking a call today. But let's imagine a different outcome. Let's imagine that this conversation was actually refreshing, which I believe it will be, Imagine that you have a really good conversation with our team and that you get real clarity around your ideas and how immersive experiences may fit into that. And I want to thank you in advance for clicking the button on or below this webinar and booking in a time to talk with myself or any of our other amazing team members to discuss how we can accelerate your organization's AI initiatives and immersive experiences. I look forward to hearing more about you, what you're trying to achieve, and hopefully giving you all the tools you need to make that vision a reality ASAP. So, last chance, click that button, grab your slot, fill out your application, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks, and have a great day.